Drum for the Song podcast.
Welcome to episode 10 of Drum for the Song podcast. I am your host, Dane Campbell. Today's guest is Jack Sutton Bassett from the Cornish rock metal band, whatever you want to call them, King Creature. I had a great conversation with Jack. He's still a very young drummer, but he's accomplished quite a lot, as you'll find out in the interview. We'll find out how his band King Creature were the first band ever to be signed to Marshall Records. We talk about the recording and release of their upcoming album, Set the World on Fire, which I'm really looking forward to hearing. We also talk about what it was like when the band supported Motorhead and the Stranglers at a gig a few years back. And we also talk about what it was like for them supporting the amazing Doro in Germany last year. One of the main things that I'm jealous about with Jack is that he actually got to play a proper rock show this summer at a venue called The Yard in Cornwall. So stick around to hear about how that came about and how they managed to stick to all the rules and the regulations with the lockdown and the social distancing for a gig, an outdoor gig in the summer. Sounds great. But before we get to the interview, I just want to make sure that you're all following me on social media. If you're on Facebook, if you search for Dane Campbell Drummer, you can like my music page on there. And there's also a Drum for the Song official Facebook group that you're all welcome to join. It might be easier to stay up to date with all the new episodes. If you're on Instagram and Twitter, you can follow my personal page, Dane_drums, or you can follow the podcast at Drum for the Song. If you've been enjoying my podcasts and think you'll keep enjoying them, please consider supporting me on my Patreon page, which is patreon.com/drumforthesong. There, you can get some extra bonus content. I do a monthly episode every month that's exclusive to my followers on there. You also get the episodes a few days early. And I also do a monthly Q&A session, which is really cool. And that's growing every month now. So it's great to meet new people every month on there. You can sign up for as little as £1 a month, but the main benefits come in from the £3 tiers and up. But any support would be massively appreciated, as it really helps. Keeps me going through these tough times. So let's get to the interview with Jack Sutton Bassett.
Drum for the Song podcast.
Hi there, this is Drum for the Song. Today, my guest is Jack Sutton Bassett from the fantastic band King Creature. How's it going, Jack?
Yeah, not bad, Dane. How are you doing, bud? You all good?
Yeah, I'm all good. Keeping busy and, doing this podcast thing as much as I can and working and some other things and not playing drums enough, which is a shame. But we'll talk about that in a little while. So, yeah. So just to mention to the audience, we've known each other a few years now. King Creature supported my band, Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons, on our UK tour last November, so November 2019. So we got on really well and we had a great tour, I think. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, we had a fantastic tour. It was really good, proper laid back kind of vibe because, of course, we've all met each other before, so we didn't have to do that weird ice breaking stage you have to do with bands normally, So it was really easy, wasn't it? Yeah, we had a great time. The shows were really good. Yeah, and I had a blast, man. Really good.
Awesome. I'm glad. Yeah, that's a good point actually about the ice breaking, because we've been on support tours before, and there's a weird combination of you don't want to get in their way or interrupt them or do anything that'll upset them, but then you kind of want to do that introduction thing. But
yeah,
I always feel like I wait for them to do it, and if they don't do it, it's kind of like, oh wow.
Yeah, we've had it before on like different tours. Sometimes that can take like a week, can it?
Yeah.
And, when you got a 2-week tour, like I don't know, it's just always like you're shredding on eggshells around everyone. You don't know how everyone works, like how you want to load in. Who goes first, this and that. But of course, we've all done it before. It was really easy. As soon as we all got off the bus into the venue, it's all happy days, wasn't it?
Yeah. To be honest, you guys were completely on it. And you could tell you'd obviously done it a few times before. So
yeah.
It was, you'd bring your stuff in. You wouldn't, you never get in the way. and then you'd set your stuff up. It'd be fine. There was no issues at all. So thank you
That,
for
that was that was
that.
one that was one thing we always like pride ourselves on. I think it's really important. Like it's almost more important how you conduct off the stage than on the stage.
Yeah,
Because
totally,
of
man. And
course
that,
the show for us only lasts about half hour, 45 minutes. But of course we spend people don't see we spend hours through the day prepping the show, prepping the merch. So there's a little like unwritten rule of you let the headline band set their stuff up first. You kind of work around it, and yeah, I feel like that's really important, and we pride ourselves on making that a point.
well, definitely, I think that'll certainly help, and you'll get a reputation for that in the long run, which will help you get some more support slots. I
Yeah,
hope so,
absolutely.
because honestly, it is really important. Because if we've heard even though if a band are really good and they pull good numbers, if we've heard that they're a bit awkward to work with, or they're known for being a bunch of tossers or whatever, we'd like, well, no, we want to have them, even if they sell tickets, So it's
Yeah,
kind of
this is it.
you
You
want
just
it.
want to make the whole thing as easy as possible, don't you?
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
man, for everyone and for the crew and stuff. So
Yeah.
let's start from the beginning then. How did you start playing drums, and who were your biggest influences at the time?
Well, I started I was about 9 when I started playing
Okay.
drums, and it all stemmed from my uncle when I was really young, gave me a really haggard, scratched to hell, burnt copy of Appetite for Destruction, where I
Oh,
think a lot of people my age just kind of like, that's where you start, isn't it? Like, such a legendary album. And I always wanted to be a guitar player first, but I kind of had a family member had one, I tried it, and I got like no instant results, so I got pretty lazy and I thought, nah, sod that,
yeah.
can't be bothered. Then I remember one day just hearing, the song Rocket Queen?
Yeah.
It's got the drum intro. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, fucking hell, man, that's cool, isn't it? And then ever since then, I was like, let's give this drumming like a go. Because when I was younger, like in school, like I saw the drum kit and thought, that's a cool thing, isn't it? So yeah, ever since I heard that, I got some really early lessons, and as soon as I sat on the drum kit, I could kind of like do something, I could hold a beat together, and I was like, wow. All I couldn't do much. I had that instant result, which kept me to stick with it, to be honest. So I think Stephen Adler growing up was from Guns N' Roses was a very big, important thing for me. So that's how I got the ball rolling, really.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that was the main thing. So did you have many lessons, or were you mainly self-taught? What's the deal?
No, I kind of had lessons from a young age, but this was a weird thing because I was in primary school when I started, and there was this kind of music club where you go up to the secondary school and as older students kind of teach you the basics. So you're kind of limited to what they could do. But I ended up finding myself that I ended up overtaking them after a couple of weeks, which was
Wow.
really good because I really took to it and I was really dedicated to it. I didn't have a drum kit at home or anything, but when you're
Wow.
young, you're just like tapping on the table and everything. And there's quite a lot you can teach yourself about the drums without actually sitting on a drum kit, I find.
Yeah, I agree. This
Like,
especially with like rudiments and patterns and paradiddles and things like that. You don't need to be at a kit to practice.
no, this is it. Yeah, you can just kind of go through it mentally. You can even tap the table. And I've used that to learn a lot of songs before. Like, I've done a couple of depth gigs with other bands, and I've kind of jumped on it without practice and even being at a drum kit. You can literally, it's not like where you're at a guitar, you've got to practice it on your instrument. I feel like, yeah, that's a benefit of playing the drums, I think. So, yeah.
No, I completely agree. And I think some people maybe don't realize, maybe aren't drummers, and they think, oh, that looks so hard. It looks so hard. Which, it is. But once you kind
Yeah.
of get the basics and you get the coordination and your brain, knows how to identify the different parts of the kit, you can learn songs even just by listening. And then you can imagine what your limbs
Yeah,
are meant to be
absolutely.
doing. And as long as it's not overly complicated, it's quite easy just to know how to play that song. Like, no one
Yeah,
has
this
to
is
teach
it.
you. It's just you can just sit at a kit and just play along with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man, that's cool. So, were you in many other bands before King Creature? And how did King Creature form, or how did you join? How did that work?
I mean, I was in a couple of like jamming with old buddies in school. I had a good mate of mine, James. He was always a guitar player, and we used to jam Metallica songs together, as you do. But I was never in a gigging band before. You know, I did a couple of like pub gigs with like the college groups, you know, as you do. And but no, King Creature is my first proper band, if you were.
Awesome.
Yeah, so a lot of my learning about studio work, proper live work, it's all been done in this band. So it's been quite a journey, to be honest.
Well, yeah, man. I
Yeah,
didn't realize it says on your website you've been going since 2013. Is that
2013. Yeah, about winter 2013 we formed. Yeah.
nice? Nice. No, I didn't realize you've been together that long. And I found a nice quote. I don't know whether it was you guys that came up with it. King Creature is the embodiment of rock and roll with powerful metal overtones. I think that's on your website or your Facebook or something like that.
Oh, Christ knows who wrote that, but yeah.
I think I thought it was pretty good and pretty fitting. Are there any other ways you'd like to describe the sound of the band for anyone listening?
I don't know, King Creature's a really weird band. We've always found it really hard to fit in onto bills because we're either on a metal bill with the lightest band there, on a rock bill with the heaviest band there. We're kind of like towing the line between the two. We've always found that to be the case. So going out on tours with bands, we've always found it quite difficult, you know, like where to fit
Hmm.
and where like people want to put us, you know, like, especially on like you know, you get these all day festivals, you get the metal ones, we rock up and we're like, oh, you're not heavy, and then the rock ones like, oh, you're far too heavy, yeah. So we're always this weird gap, but I feel like as time's gone on, I feel like we've drifted towards the heavier side a bit more now, especially with the stuff on the new album. Yeah.
Yeah, which I haven't actually heard yet, apart from the single you put out, the video you put out recently. So do you want to talk about
Okay.
that with with all the fathers and things?
Yeah, so that's the latest one called Wisdom Told. That's kind of the brainchild of our manager Jules. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, he wanted to write a song with some meaningful lyrics, kind of from the heart about the father's thing, as he felt like it's something that always gets missed. You always get people mention like the mothers, this and that, and he was like, I thought that was really important. So yeah, that's kind of a more laid back. It's kind of the ballad of the album, if you were,
Yeah.
which we weren't. We were never. It was never planned to be on this album, but the record label liked it so much they kind of it forced its way on. But yeah, we've kind of come to the idea now, and it's all right. But yeah, and we released another two singles. One called "Falling Down Again," which is quite a real heavy one. It's got some more thrashy elements to it. It's got some real fast work on it, and a song called "Desolation." Don't know if you've seen the video on YouTube, but it's we're setting fire to the whole place. It's quite a crazy
Oh,
video.
nice. I
Yeah,
thought,
setting in industrial yards. We're all
oh,
set up live performance, fire going everywhere.
I
So
have seen
that's a
that.
really cool song. It's quite a heavy one, bit more of a straight up mid pace pounder kind of tune. So we feel like we've got out the three singles so far quite a in the metal world especially a bit of a mix going on at the minute.
Well, I think that's a
But it's
good thing.
definitely yeah.
It shows that how broad the songs are going to be on the album. Really, it's not just
Yeah,
12
sure.
tracks of the same thing. So I think that's
Sure,
cool.
and we got other songs there where the heavier stuff gets heavier and the lighter stuff gets lighter. So we've kind of gone to the extreme of both ends of the spectrum, if you know what I mean. So yeah,
Nice, nice.
yeah, really happy with it so far. I've had it on repeat for months, and I'm not sick to death of it yet.
Well,
So
that's
that's a
certainly
good
a good
sign,
sign.
you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool that you're still listening to it because sometimes, well, from my personal view, sometimes when we finish an album, I will listen to it constantly for like maybe a week, and then I don't listen to it for a while. Then, like our new album, which is coming out in November as well, I haven't put that on for a good month or so, but maybe I should start
yeah,
listening. I guess maybe I would if we had shows and we were like playing the songs live, which
yeah. And you want to
we
get it fresh in your brain, don't you? So you
yeah,
you know what you're doing.
I know there's no immediate reason for me to kind of keep on top of the songs, and I've just been enjoying other things and podcasts. But yeah,
I know because
yeah, I know what you mean. But so you signed to Marshall Records,
yes,
which is really cool. a very cool record label with quite a variety of different bands on there. How did they discover you, or did you approach them?
Well, this is a really funny story because, of course, our younger guitar player Dave, he's been like endorsed. He's been like a friend of Marshall since he was like, I think 13.
Oh
So
wow.
since he's really young. So we've always, ever since the band started, we've had the bit of a backing from Marshall. Like, albeit it wasn't official in the start, but we used to pop up to the factory. They had a big Fiesta we used to jam in. They helped us out with some gear. You know, they always serviced our gear. They sent, of course, they own Natal drums.
Yeah.
So, of course, they had some loan stocks. They said, "Oh, do you want a drum kit?" I'm like, "Of course, yeah. I'm not going to turn that down." Yeah.
Yeah.
So they sent me a drum kit. They sent Dave Kettleway. They sent me a new bass rig. So we've always had that good support from Marshall. And then it got to the stage where we're talking to him like, yeah, we need to do an album now, because we had done an EP and a 2-track single as well. And it's like, it's time to do an album. They said, all right, what you got in mind? I said, well, we don't know. We got like 12 songs ready to record, but as you know, when you're a young band, financing an album is quite a struggle.
Definitely.
You know,
Yeah.
and this was I can't remember what year it was now, but it was before Marshall Records was a thing. But basically, they agreed to kind of sponsor an album for us. So
Nice.
they said, so we had to we played the tracks in front of the big boss, who we know really well, but that was the most daunting show of my life, playing in front of like one person, you know, just in this big room, trying to get like the seal of approval from him. So yeah, and then he said, "Yeah, sounds great. Let's try and get you in the studio." So they had a chap up at Marshall called Luke, who knew a guy called Rob Cass really well, who works from Abbey Road Studios. He said, "Let's go have a meeting with my mate Rob." And we thought, it's just we'll go meet someone and we get to go in Abbey Road, which is cool. We had no idea that we're gonna end up recording in Abbey Road, which we did.
Right. I didn't know that. That's
So, yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, so Volume 1, the first album, was recorded at Abbey Road Studios. We recorded it in Studio 3, where they recorded Dark Side of the Moon, albums like that. So that was absolutely mad.
That's
And
amazing. Yeah.
yeah, it was absolutely crazy. So all this stuff happened. Marshall agreed to do the album. And then when we found out it was Abbey Road, we're like, oh, shit, you know, we're like a really young band. We haven't done much of notoriety yet. We've done a few local shows, a couple of like local supports for like semi-big bands, but nothing huge at this point. And yeah, that's crazy. So we did the album, that was all finished, and it was like, well, yeah, we got an album. Now what do we do with it?
Hmm.
And Marshall said, well, we had a bit of a plan. So they brought on another chap, Steve Tannett, and who's now the boss of Marshall Records. And they said, yeah, we're going to form a label and you're going to be the first band signed to it. So they kind of, Marshall Records was created around us, which was
That's
really
insane.
bizarre.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
So that's a really like cool story that not everyone knows, but yeah, say, how did you get signed to Marshall Records? It's kind of built for us.
Yeah. It sounds like.
And it turned into this thing. Yeah.
So you will. Oh, that's because if Marshall Records continues, which it probably will, like you
Yeah.
go down as the first ever band to sign to them. That's pretty legendary.
Yeah.
Should be
It's on the
legends.
yes, it's on the website and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big blurb up about it, and they say how it starts from Dave being a young age, since he was 13, having a relationship with Marshall. Then they put us in the studio. Then Marshall Records was born. So it's a really cool story, you know. So
Yeah. Fair play. Well,
yeah,
thanks for sharing it. Yeah, like you
no
mentioned,
problem.
so Volume 1 and To the Bone, they're the 2 albums so far, and then the new one's
Yeah,
called
To the Bone's just a acoustic EP, so it's kind of
Oh,
like
right.
yeah, it's kind of not an actual album. So that's
Okay.
it was meant to bridge the gap between both releases, but Set the World on Fire, the new one, ended up taking quite a bit longer than we thought
Okay.
to get out. So yeah, so it didn't really bridge a gap at all. It's just
Yeah, fair enough.
standalone.
But yeah, it's all available if people want to check it out. And it's Set the World on Fire. It's being released on November the 6th. Is that correct?
It is.
Can you confirm
Yep.
that? And you can pre-order that from your website. You've got a
Yep.
special website, and you've got like special bundles and things like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah. If you just go to kingcreature.com, it just links you right to it. Yeah.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to pre-order it, And there's a few different kind of colored vinyls and stuff, really cool stuff. If anyone wants that, is it gold vinyl?
Yeah, we're releasing it on gold vinyl, which is pretty wild.
It did look really nice, and the artwork looks nice, and so yeah,
Oh,
check
cheers,
it out.
bud. Thank you.
So I remember you telling us on tour about the writing and recording of that album. So do you mind talking about that and who you did it with?
Yeah, of course. So Set the World on Fire, because I'm trying to remember when Volume 1 was released now, like 2016, 17, I want to say. So it's been quite a few years. So
Yeah.
a lot of these songs have been in the works for quite a number of years. We've played a few live. We played a few live on the tour we did together. And yeah, but this time around, we did it with we managed to cut three tracks with a chap called Mike Exeter. Don't know if you've heard of him. He did the Black Sabbath 13 album. He did the latest couple of Judas Priest album and stuff. So yeah, we got him on board to do 3 tracks. One called Demon Within, Falling Down in Desolation, which was really good. And the rest was done with our dear old friend called John Cornfield, who's been there since the start. We recorded the original EP with him. To the Bone was recorded with him, and a little single we did called Breaking Down was done with him. And he's been our live sound engineer when we can afford him since the start. Since the start. So it was really good to finally do a proper album with him on board. And he's done the likes of, he recorded like the Definitely Maybe album by Oasis. He recorded a lot of the early Muse stuff because he worked out of he was the chief engineer down at a studio called the Sawmills.
Right, I've heard of that. Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
So we managed to get the bones of that recorded through January, February time. There was a bit of a gap between some of the stuff. So we recorded 1 track, was done in our practice space actually. Might come down. We kind of converted it into like a makeshift studio, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And then the drums and bass for the rest were done in a studio called Airfield. And we literally cut it about 2 or 3 days before we went into lockdown.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we managed to get the drums and bass done and a couple of guitar tracks. And of course, lockdown happened and we're like, oh, we need to finish this thing. But of course, we can't go into a studio or anything.
Yeah.
So we ended up recording all the guitars remotely through all these remote desktop things. The lads did it all from home. So yeah, it took quite a while to get together, but we finally managed to get it through. But that was a wild experience. Yeah.
Very clever then. I didn't realize that's how they did that.
Yeah.
And it is amazing how you can kind of get those realistic amplifier sounds that way.
Yeah.
Recording remotely. I don't really understand how it all works myself, but it's pretty clever.
No, I do not understand it at all. But it's a lot of, I think they call it reamping and a lot of stuff. Yeah, a lot of stuff like that going on. But yeah, that was a weird process because we were really pushing to get this album done in time because we were meant to be back out in Europe with Doro straight away in February, March, I believe. And we thought, bloody hell, we better get this album nailed because we're not going to have any chance to do it this year because we've got such a busy year ahead. How we were wrong.
Oh, yeah, exactly. You know? I know.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're gearing up for that. And then, of course, the dreaded lockdown happened and it squashed absolutely, well, pretty much every plan we had. So
yeah. Such a shame,
ended up being no rush. But I'm glad we got it done. So, because we've now got a set in stone release date. People have been waiting for this album for a long time. So that's one good thing to come out this year, to know we can sleep easy at night now, knowing it's finally done. Because we've been, for the past couple of years, we'd be saying, oh, it'll be this year. Oh, yeah, it'll be this year. And it just never was. But it finally is this year. So we're really happy about that.
No, great. And congratulations to finally get it out. So I know how that must feel for you. So
yeah.
One thing you did do this summer, you were one of the lucky bands that have actually played a show.
Yes.
Is a venue called The Yard down in Cornwall. Is that correct? And how is that something your manager kind of runs, or did he start?
Yeah,
something to do with it.
Basically, the Yard is day by day. It's a working like waste management yard. It's owned by our manager Jules, but it's this massive, great open space. So we were talking before lockdown, like, oh, you could do a gig here, it'd be great, because he's got like a topsoil shed but it's like got this massive domed structure over it, and it's like fucking looks like a stage. That perfect. So there's always a few jokes like that happening. And yeah, one day Jules come to practice because, of course, when lockdown eased, we started practicing again because our practice space is quite big, so you could do all the social distancing thing. There wasn't a problem. And he popped in one day, said, "We're gonna do a gig, boys." He said, "It's about time. We've got to do something because a lot of bands were doing the like the live streaming through lockdown. Like we never did any of that, like the acoustic thing, because we're like we wouldn't have made it any good. It wasn't really what we're about." So he was like, right, a lot of restrictions were dropping, pubs were open again. He had this idea and he said, there's no reason we can't play a show if we do it properly, get all the social distance you did. So we basically, in the yard, we had this massive like chessboard set up. So it was all white painted lines, 2 meter by 2 meter squares, all separated by 2 meter by 2 meter squares. So we worked out we could get 200 people in groups of 4 in their social bubbles.
Yeah.
So we managed to get all that together. And yeah, when Jules announced it went live, it sold out in 7 minutes, 200 people. So, but we're like, if we can prove this, if basically this gig was probably even safer than going to your supermarket, because that can be at the moment. It's a bit of a free for all. Everyone's going crazy. No one's abiding by any rules.
No.
So we made sure to have everything official in place. There was security there. We got the okay by the local council. Like everything was done by the book. So it was done properly. So when some people say, "Oh, should you really be doing that?" It's like, well, this has been done properly. And it proved to be a massive success for us. It was really good. We ended up getting it professionally recorded, which is going to come out next week. But by the time this is out, it'll probably already be out for viewing.
Oh, cool. Yeah, check that out.
Yeah, it's all professionally done. I've seen some clips and it looks mega. So it's all properly recorded.
Is it in video as well, or just audio?
Video as well,
oh,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's going to be a bit of a mini documentary beforehand, like us setting up the show and stuff. And it turned out to be this amazing thing. It really kickstarted Cornwall back up a bit because we had absolutely nothing. I know there was a couple of social distancing shows around the UK happening, like inside seated, but we're like, I don't know, it's not really for us. You can get like 20 people in the bar at tables. You don't really get the vibe. But of course, like this was all standing. You're not penned in. If you're in your social bubbles, they can stand up and have a good go at it, and have a good time. So there was a few gaps in the crowd, but it did have had a good atmosphere about it. Everyone enjoyed it. There's minimal trouble. I think one person got kicked out because they started getting a bit too excited, But
right.
Out of 200 people, everyone's had a few beers. That wasn't too bad, So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Ended up being a really big success, and we're going to do some more. Other bands are going to be down soon, I think. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, is it going to continue to do more?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely. Because of course, with this, we had to hire in fencing, staging, security, lights, PA. Everything had to be bought in, which we built ourselves. But somehow it broke even, and especially when we set up, it was £25 a head. But you had a King Creature face mask and a T-shirt, which is kind of your money's worth there already, to be honest.
That's great, yeah.
So if we could do it with that and make it work, there's no reason going for a viable option to do while this COVID thing's on. And when the COVID restrictions are off completely, the plan is to open it up to like to bigger crowds, because I think this place could have a capacity of about 2,000, so it could be a really cool thing.
So I'm thinking Yardfest 2001.
yeah, it's going to be happening, man.
Something like that.
It's going to happen.
It does sound cool. Yeah, so if you can open it up to that many people, that'd be fantastic. So what is the metal scene like in Cornwall in general? It doesn't strike me as being like a kind of heavy metal region of the country, but then I don't get to go there that much, so I don't know.
No, it's quite small. There's a few bands kicking about, like as you know, bands come and go. But like a few years ago, it used to be a bit stronger than it is now. there used to be a lot more underground bands. But then again, there was a lot more places to play. Like sadly, over the years, many of like the local like clubs and all that, they've all closed down. But it's got quite a healthy scene. Like around the St Austell area where we used to play, there's quite a lot of rock bands that go out on the scene. All the shows are really well attended around our area. You know, if like a small band you never heard of, they could play like the local club for 200 people and it would sell out. You know, like
Amazing.
there's
Yeah.
a lot of dedicated fans. And a bit further into Cornwall, a place called Falmouth, there's like a real underground DIY punk scene, which is really cool because there's a university down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, there's a lot going on, but it's not massive. But then again, Cornwall isn't massive. So, but no, it's a healthy scene, but it's full of people really hungry for live music. But of course, on the normal touring circuit for bands, it's not really a destination.
It's awkward because the geographical, it doesn't like work out very well with routing, does it? I guess.
No.
And there's, I guess,
No,
like you said,
and
there's limited venues of certain sizes. So it must be tricky for agents to kind
yeah,
of
I think the
fit it in.
furthest, like the closest bands come to is like Plymouth, as you guys come there. But even
Yeah.
Plymouth now, I don't think there's really any suitable venues. So hopefully next year going on with the Yard, it might help to put Cornwall on the circuit a bit more.
Yeah.
Well, because I think Jules's plan is to put it on the touring circuit as an option for bands. You know, so
Can it
hopefully.
be? Is there like some form of indoor option or covered option, or is it only going to be outdoor? That's the problem with. I was thinking seasonal. How would it work?
Yeah, it's currently open air, so it could be like more of a summer thing.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. I'm not sure. You know, there's a lot of options there.
Yeah.
It's
Nice.
still to be figured out. But yeah, it's kind of pray for the weather. But we were thinking that we're thinking, oh God, with this gig, like the worst thing that could happen if it rains, it's gonna be awful. But then we thought, I don't know, people stand in the rain at download and don't care, do they? You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think people were so hungry for live music. It could have been anything. It could have been a blizzard out there. People were going to go for it, you know, because people were so excited for it. So, yeah.
No, good. It's exciting, man, and it's good that you're finding ways around. Well, not finding ways around the rules. You're literally adhering to the rules and making live music happen. That's great.
Yeah, it was really important to do it by the book, you know, because.
Did you say you had a lot of negative kind of comments about it? Like
we had a few. There's a lot of questions around it, you know, saying, "Oh, should you be doing this? Is it safe?" And because of all the distancing in place, you're in your bubbles. You're so distanced from the next group of people. It was literally safer than going to Tesco's to buy a loaf of bread, you know,
because
you're going to come into less contact with people.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Because obviously I do my food shopping every week, or maybe once or sometimes twice. I try and keep it to once, but there's obviously some people that are playing it safe, and there's some people who literally don't care, and they just come next to you. And like I've never had the guts to kind of tell anyone to bugger off, but certain people, I'm like, they obviously don't care, or they don't think it's real. And I think that unfortunately there's a lot of the community that don't even believe that it exists. So
yeah, I think whatever your views on it, you know, I think you've got to do your bit and just play by the rules, no matter what you think. Like like I'm sure we've all got different thoughts on it, like if you believe everything or not. But it's like you just got to roll with it, you know. And especially when staff are telling you to do this, like these people are getting so much grief, and I feel so sorry for a lot of people. You know, it's like just put your mask on, just go with it for a minute. You know, it's all we can do.
Yeah, just in case, you know, regardless of what your views are. Yeah. Oh, nice, man. So, looking back at your kind of drumming career, we'll call it a career. What's your most memorable or proudest moment so far?
Well, of course, it's the one thing that always gets brought up in every interview, and it's still been our biggest achievement since 2015. Of course, it was, as you know, probably our first big show, of course, which you know was with Motorhead.
Yeah.
That was like the biggest thing ever for us, because it's no secret. Since I was 9 years old, Motorhead have been my favourite band ever. So when we got the okay to do that show, I was like, we'd never done anything of note before then. So it was like, oh my God, this is real. Like, so that was definitely, getting on that stage, you know, playing in front of, because it was a home crowd as well, the evening sessions in Cornwall. So we're all local, so like all the families are out. You could look in the crowd. I knew half the crowd just from around anyway. So
That's
that
so
was
cool.
probably the most surreal moment ever. Yeah.
Did you have to like apply to get the slot, or how did it work? Is it someone you knew, or?
Um, Basically, when the gig was announced, it was a two-band bill. It was the Motorhead and the Stranglers, and
Yeah,
then I remember that being announced because I was like, "Fuck, I've just got to go anyway because it's gonna be wicked," you know.
yeah.
So I bought my ticket as soon as it announced, and then I think it was Matt and Dave were saying like, "Ah, it could be cool to play it," and I was like, "Well, it's not going to happen, boys, is it?" So it's just like, yeah, it would be cool, it'd be great, wouldn't it? But I didn't really think much more of it. Then next minute they were emailing Eden Sessions. They found out who the like their agent or promoter is down there, and they emailed him. They said, "Yeah, sorry boys, it is what it is. It's a two-band bill. It's those two." I'm like, "Oh, no worries." And then they wrote to Marshall, I think, and
Right.
they said, "Oh," and they had a word with someone. I don't know who exactly it was because I don't think they went to Motorhead's management at all. I don't know who it was, but all of a sudden, in the space of a week and a half, we had a message from the guy down at Eden saying, "You're
You're
on,
on.
boys.
You're on. That's amazing.
You're on." And we're like, "What?
So
What do you mean we're on?" Yeah.
was so was that show the first time you met my dad? Because I know you kind of.
No, no. The first time I met your dad was outside of. You guys were playing a show. It was the All Stars at the time.
Oh, right.
It
Okay.
was that show in Plymouth in the Junction.
Oh, yeah, that was it. So
Yeah.
what it was. So it had nothing to do with that, really.
No,
No,
because
right. Okay.
I was in contact with your dad before this gig happened. I used to flick him an email here and there. We used to catch up and just stay in
Yeah.
contact a bit. But you know how it is with a gig like that. I didn't really want to bother him with a question like that. I think it's the
Yeah.
worst thing in it.
I
It's
know what
being a
you
guy in
mean.
a band. It's like when someone goes, "Oh, can I be on your bill? Can I get on your gig?" It's like I wasn't comfortable with asking that question. I thought,
It's fair enough.
well, no, we haven't got the name yet. It's not like I didn't think it'd be like an option to do that. So no, but yeah, but I was really your dad like when I met him, was super cool. We just kind of hit it off
Cool.
immediately. He gave me his phone number and email. Said, "I'll stay in touch. Any Motorhead gig you want to come to, just give me a give me a text or whatever, and I'll stick you on the
Mm.
list." So that was really cool.
You still bought a ticket.
Oh, I did. Well, yeah, because when he said that, it's like, oh, I don't even know if
I
I
know
want to
you.
bother him with that.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it was cool enough. Like when it's someone you respect, you don't want to push your luck, do you?
Yeah.
Even though it would have been fine,
Yeah, I think he
you
was
know.
he was genuine. He's always been very generous with stuff like that. So he must have
Yeah,
meant it. But I can
absolutely.
understand if you didn't feel comfortable asking. No, that's nice. I was going to ask about Doro. You already supported Doro last year, right?
Yeah, basically, well, as soon as we finished the tour with you guys, we got on the ferry the next day. Then the day after, we did our first show in Luxembourg. Yeah, so
Amazing.
both of those tours just kind of just went into one into the other for us. So yeah,
What was it like? What was she like? What was the band like? What was the crowd
mate,
like?
they're really cool. This was our first time touring Germany. We did one show in Germany before. We did the Metal Hammer Awards out in Germany.
Yeah,
Of
that's what
course, like
my brothers went, didn't they? I didn't go
yeah,
because I'm an idiot.
yeah. I think it was yeah.
Didn't we?
It was,
Is that the one we won an award, or was that a different
you
one?
did, yeah, because
So I
I
decided not to go.
remember catching up with your dad and Todd and Tyler were there, and that's where your dad actually offered us to go out on the road with him. He
Right.
said, "Oh,
Cool.
you boys should come out on the road with us," and then they said they had a support for that tour already, but they said the following year because you
Nice.
had Leader Adam go out of you, yeah,
Yeah, that's it.
that
Yeah,
year,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. But he
Cool.
said we got one in mind, but yeah, come out on tour. So that was really cool. That was a cool meeting. But yeah, back to the Doro. Sorry, but yeah, they were a really cool band. Our first time tour in Germany, and as soon as you go over the water into Europe, the hospitality is like just
So
so much
much.
better,
I
isn't it?
know. Sorry to say it, UK.
And it's just like, I mean, it's so nice to actually be wanted.
Yeah.
You turn up there, you got a dressing room, it's just full of stuff. You got a beer fridge that you can't even dream of emptying because it's so stocked.
Even
One
you
of the
guys as
catering,
well.
and
What? Even you guys can't
yeah,
empty. Wow.
Oh, trust me, we tried.
You tried.
We tried. Yeah, we did our best.
Yeah.
I think we might have managed it once or twice when there was a day off for the next day, but yeah, but they just look after you so well, and the
They do.
crowds out there were playing to like 2,000 people a night out there,
Wow.
and everyone was so accommodating, and it was an eye opener of like, oh, this is how they do it out here, is it? Because we're just used to the UK where you're lucky to get a bottle of water and a sandwich thrown at you, you know. But out
No,
there,
I totally know. I
it's
totally
opposite.
agree. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
understand why it's so different. Someone did mention that certain countries have funding, like government funding, to kind of pay for live music and stuff. So maybe the
Yeah.
promoters are less using their own pockets, so there is more budget for all those kind of luxuries. And
Yeah,
well,
they just seem to just absolutely live for it out there, don't they? It's
yeah,
not like because when you come to some gigs in the UK, especially, you kind of get that unwanted feeling where you're just a bit of a pain in the ass for them. It's not like,
definitely, yeah.
but as soon as you go there, you're greeted with like, "Oh, would you like to eat before you do sound check?" It's like, no, it's too much food, this and that. But it's just too much. But yeah, I just really appreciate all their hospitality. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's and you probably notice it as well. Like your merch sales out there just go through the roof, especially physical product like CD and vinyl. Like
yeah.
we sold out of all our CDs and vinyl out there like really quickly. You know, we should have bought a lot more with us
You know, for next
because
time.
yeah, absolutely. You know, that was another learning curve, but it was such a pleasant surprise to see that physical product is still really strong out there
Yeah,
in this digital world.
and I think obviously it depends what countries you go into. You just got to think that the economy is better in some of those countries, and
Yeah,
people's like minimum wages compared to ours in the UK can get them a lot further. So
sure thing. Yeah,
they're gonna afford to buy CDs, and obviously I'm not saying that everyone in the UK is poor. Obviously that's not correct, but
no,
people's money goes further in some of those countries.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
like you mentioned Luxembourg. I've never played this. I don't know what that's like, but like when we do Germany, it seems like we'll sell like a signed CD for like €15, which I think is pushing it, and they're like, oh, that's fine, And
Yeah,
I
I
remember,
too. Yeah,
and I remember being in Switzerland, where I know they obviously their own currency in relation to ours. Like their minimum wage, apparently, the last time I checked, was the equivalent of like £16.
Christ, it's
So
like double what we earn.
yeah, so we were selling signed. They were EPs, so we were selling signed EPs for like 10 francs, and people were like, "Why so cheap? Why so cheap?" And we're like, "Well, that's how much we would charge for them in our country. We were trying to get
Yeah,
10, like we thought 10 quid is expensive, um, and they couldn't believe how cheap it was, because then I found out, oh, because it took them about 20 minutes to earn that money or whatever, do you know?
yeah,
You know what I
pretty
mean?
much. Yeah, because we hit Switzerland on that
Yeah.
Doro tour as well. We ended up playing Zurich, and
Did that
it's a
do well
lovely
for
place.
you on
But
merch?
we didn't take any.
Oh, because of it's awkward, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because with Doro, they had a separate truck that takes their own merch around because they got so much stock.
Yeah.
They said we're not even going to bother because of like because they got so much stock just to get it into Switzerland, as you know,
Yeah, yeah.
is a nightmare. Is an
It's just,
absolute nightmare.
you've got to
So,
pay the money up front. You've got to pay
yeah,
all the tax up front on your way in. So you've got to count all of your stock, make sure it's correct. I don't really. I think it's a nightmare. It literally gives me so much anxiety when we're on tour.
yeah, it's horrible.
So I'm one of the guys that has to try and sort it out. And yeah, you've got to make sure you've got enough money on your card to pay for it all up front, and then on the way back,
Yeah,
whatever you didn't sell, they refund you for.
I
But
know.
it's
It's
just a
so
pain.
hard. So yeah, we just unloaded our merch into their merch truck and didn't bother taking any. We literally
Fair
went in,
enough.
played the gig, and got out because
Yeah.
it was only one show. We thought for all the hassle,
Yeah, fair enough. You might,
is it worth
you
it?
may have
Yeah,
made a few £100 or something, but it could have
yeah,
it's a lot of paperwork and stuff involved. Yeah, fair enough.
yeah. And we're pushing it on time as well, getting into there, and it was like,
Yeah,
no, and
yeah,
they weren't selling merch either. So
yeah. I
yeah, just
guess.
roll with it.
Fair enough. No, well, that's good. Did you chat to their drummer much, Johnny?
Yeah, Johnny D. Yeah, we ended up really hitting it off. That was one good thing to come out of Switzerland. I ended up meeting I can't remember his name now. Oh yeah, Christian from Peisty and all that. We ended up having a
Oh,
good
Christian
chat.
Wenzel. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to approach him, but I'm yet to do that. I was about to do it, but then all this Corona stuff
Uh,
kicked off, so I thought, it's probably not the right time.
wait
I'll
till
wait
you've
till I've
got
got
wait till you've got
a
some
load of
shows.
tours, got
Yeah,
some tours coming up, and then there's a proper need for it, you know. So
nice.
yeah, that was really cool. So I ended up hitting it off with Johnny. We yeah, a lot of drum chat, checking out each other's gear as you do, just nerding off all the time. But yeah, he was super
Hmm.
cool dude. Great drummer as well, you know. It was good to watch him every night.
Yeah,
Because I feel like that's a really good part about being a support act on a tour. You learn so much by just watching the other drummers on like the headline act and all that. So that was really cool.
apart
Yeah.
from if you're supporting me.
No, not at all, man. No, you're killing it every night, man. It was
I don't
great.
know. It was better before the accident, if you remember what I mean.
Oh, mate, I was going to say that's another thing I learned on tour. Be very aware of your surroundings.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
that was crazy. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we were both we were a bit worried for you at one point, and
Well,
I think we all thought the tour's over.
I
At
was,
one,
we could have, the initial moment, maybe the following hour, it was a bit questionable, but then I was just like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm in
yeah,
pain.
power through.
I'm going to power through. And I wasn't like the whole tour. I was in agony every show, but I just thought I just got to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I'd be letting too many people down, um, by not doing it. So I thought I can get through it. And it was just a shame because I couldn't really enjoy myself as much then
yeah.
on the rest of the shows as I normally do. Um,
What
yeah,
damage did you end up doing? Was it a lot of bruising? Did you
it was,
say?
I had
Or
pretty serious bruising on the ribs. I didn't break anything, which was good. 'Cause the following morning, I think we were in Nottingham, and me and Todd got a taxi to the local hospital just to check. Because I woke up in so much pain. Um, and yeah, just to check there was nothing broke, but they said it was bruising. I still got a big scar on my arm because my kind of, I don't know if you remember my forearm. I kind of cut that
yeah,
open, and it was a big bit of a, they kind of sealed that up for me as well, which was nice because that was a bit of a wound, but they sealed
yeah,
that up for me. But it was every time I hit that snare, it was just obviously a big stinging kind of
yeah.
pain every hit. I was like, but I just got through it, and it's a shame because we played to loads of amazing crowds, fairly, I guess, fairly full venues, but I just couldn't. I couldn't put my all into it. I tried. Well, I did put my all into it, but it would have been better if I wasn't injured.
Oh mate, you wouldn't have known. You wouldn't have known.
Yeah, I
Trust
don't know.
me.
Yeah, thanks, man.
That's it.
Cheers. So, have you got anything booked or penciled in for next year, like gig wise, or is it still up in the air, or anything?
Yeah,
Anything?
because sadly we were about to head on tour with Orange Goblin in December, of course, but
Oh
that's
yeah, yeah,
now
yeah.
been rescheduled for next December. So that's
Cool.
cool that that's carrying on, but I don't know. There's just a lot of uncertainty over next year as well,
Of
isn't there? You know,
course.
so
Yeah,
we've got
yeah.
a couple of festivals. We had a lot of stuff like near enough confirmed for this year that never got announced. You know,
Hmm.
a lot of cool support tours and stuff. So I don't know. We're just playing it by ear at the minute, waiting for stuff to come in. So the calendar isn't looking too full at the minute, just because of the uncertainty. You know.
Totally. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like we managed to reschedule most of our stuff for next year, but no one really knows
Yeah.
if they're going to go ahead yet. But I'm trying to stay positive and keep my fingers crossed that the world will start healing a little bit and things will go ahead. But
Yeah. It's
I don't know.
just crazy because I don't think this thing's ever going to go away, is it? I think
No,
we just hopefully we get some learn to live with it a bit. If it gets suppressed, I don't know. Not a scientist. I don't really know. I'm
no,
just
exactly.
just keeping my fingers crossed that
Yeah,
there's a way we can kind of hopefully get back to normal in the not so distant future. Hopefully, because yeah, it's just been because it's not been a massive financial impact on the band because the band's never been our jobs. But I know for people like yourself,
Yeah.
you've been full time for a couple of years now, haven't you? With the band,
Yeah.
it's been
Yeah. It's been.
and
Pretty...
it's been harder on people like yourselves. I suppose. I bet your dad's never had so much time off
No, exactly.
on the
Yeah, he's
road.
never.
I
But the
bet
problem is he
I
can't
bet
go
he's never been
anywhere.
at home this long.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think he's getting a little bit fed up. Because I guess, being in the band was keeping him busy and keeping him, he can concentrate on singing. And I guess we've had the album to do, which was a nice distraction for a while. But, we finished that months ago now. So I guess he's doing plenty of interviews at the moment, actually. So they're keeping him busy.
I bet he's loving it.
He's not loving it at all. But he
No.
has to do it. He has to do
I know.
it.
It's not his favourite thing, is it?
It's not his favourite thing at all, I know. But no, that's cool, man.
But yeah, I know we've all had to pick up the day job now, haven't we? Like, I know you said you've had to pick up some more work now.
Yeah, I've been doing something.
Other things.
I can't say I'm particularly enjoying, but it helps.
It's just
helps pay the bills.
Yeah, likewise, man. I had to get another job. I'm grateful to have some income, but it's not what I want to be doing. Yeah, I want to get back to business next year.
Yeah, it's weird once you've experienced, being I guess you said you were never professional, but once you've experienced being a professional musician, going back to not,
it's even harder.
Yeah, it is. It's harder because I used to have a day job before, and that was just part of my life, and that was it. And then I got lucky, and we did the band. And now going back, it's just like, I guess if you're doing something relatively enjoyable and getting paid for it, that might be quite nice. But my job isn't enjoyable. But let's not talk about that. Let's talk about your drum gear and what you're using at the moment. As you said about the Natal kit.
Yeah, I've been using Natal for a number of years now. Like they originally sent me like a small setup, one rack tom, one floor, one kick drum. So I used that kind of setup for years, and then just before we did Volume 1, they said, "What do you really want to play?" And then I just said, "Well, what we really want is the list like that," because I was never keen on using like a double kick kit, but the boys said, "Oh, look awesome though, wouldn't it? Look awesome." I was like, "Yeah, fuck it, let's order one, see what they say." Yeah, they made me one, so that was really cool, and I've been using that for years, and it's still going. I don't know how after I had a kick drum roll out of a trailer at 70 miles an hour down a dual carriageway a couple of years ago.
Really? Oh no.
Luckily it didn't kill anyone.
Oh my God.
But we managed to get that back. It looks a bit tired, but it still sounds great. So
is it still round? As long as it's still round.
Yeah, it's still round. The bass drum hoops are completely destroyed though. They completely snapped. So luckily Natal sent me some more of them.
Cool.
But now we've kept that going. So I've been using Natal for years now. I've used Paiste cymbals like unofficially ever since I started playing drums. Like my first drum kit, I bought a set of Paiste cymbals, and I don't think you can get any better. So I've stuck with them. And endorsement or not, that's who I'm going to be with. Because I love them. I love the reliability.
Hopefully, you can get on the roster
soon. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. It's not really the be all end all for me. Like. Because with Paiste, you're lucky. I don't break a lot of cymbals. I break one now and again, as you do. Because through like long tours, like your stuff will undeniably get a bit worn out now and again. But
you're pretty hard hitter as well, man. So you're gonna they're gonna break it. They're gonna break eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. But they last a lot longer than some other companies I've used intermittently.
Tell me.
So I was always gone for them. I've been endorsed by Head Drumsticks for quite a few years now, and they've been great. Because with them, I buy about 4 pairs a year.
Really? That's interesting.
They do me the year. Yeah, because eventually they do break under just the stress of because everything I do is like pretty much constant rim shots in all the heavy songs. So now and again, like they will break, but yeah, I buy 4 pairs a year just because I lose a couple. So I only normally break about 3 sticks a year.
That's amazing.
Which is not a lot.
No,
it's not a lot. So people say, "Oh, they're really expensive," but with the endorsement, they're half price anyway, and the amount of use you get out of them, it's a really cost-effective way of me, and they feel great. I've I'm so used to them. It's really weird playing with wood drumsticks again. Like I picked up a pair the other day. It's like, oh, it's really bizarre. It's really weird. It's a completely different feel, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, they're really cool. So I've stuck it out with them for quite a while now. Been using Evans drum heads for years. I've just found them to be quite reliable, really consistent.
Yeah.
I like them, and yeah, that's
Nice.
the bones of it. Yeah.
Nice. That's good, man. Well, hopefully, you can get a cymbal deal someday. I think as soon as you get more gigs, and you'll have the new album out, and you'll have press, presumably. Just
Yeah.
send them a pack, and
Yeah, Christian said they'll hook me up at some point. I just got
nice.
I just didn't think it was worth doing now, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I was waiting till I'm back out on the road, and
Definitely.
I've got a need for it.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
I should really know, but do you have any specific warm-up techniques before you go out?
No, I really should. It varies from show to show. Sometimes I'll grab my sticks and sort of some warm-ups on the back of a chair, but to be honest, I forget all the time, and I'm so bloody lazy. I just jump on the stage and go for it most of the time, to be honest. Which I shouldn't do really, because I find if I do at least a 20-minute just warm up, just get the blood flowing, I do play a lot better. I feel like the first couple of songs, everything just feels like you're just like you've been playing the show for ages.
Yeah,
since you start, But yeah, so I should do it more. But yeah, I'm pretty undisciplined in that way. Yeah, what about yourself? Do you do much?
I've started to the last few years, but I haven't really had any specific routines. I definitely stretch. That's a big thing for me. I stretch a lot of my hands, my fingers, my forearms. Kind of I rotate my shoulders and my neck. I stretch a lot, kind of in 8 directions if I can, because I'm like this all the time. And if I don't stretch, I wake up the next morning in agony because I forgot to stretch. And it all depends on the type of gig and the changeover. Obviously, luckily, when I do headline shows, I've normally got a tech that can kind of do most of that for me, which is amazing because that's only that's a recent thing. I've been doing it myself for the rest of my life, really. And it doesn't really allow you that little slot. But I don't know if you listened to my podcast before, but a few people have said, even if you've got a changeover, you warm up before the changeover.
Yeah.
So then you're kind of warmed up a little bit, and then if you've got another 5 minutes to do a little bit of warming up just before you go on and play the set, that's still better than not doing anything. So
I really do notice the difference when I do warm up.
Yeah.
So I just need to stick my pad in my bag and go for it really.
But like I take a pad with me, and I don't like I said, I'm not a very trained drummer. Like I don't know all my rudiments and things like that. So like.
No, when people speak in technical terms to me, it's like, what are you about?
I know. So I want to go back.
You kind of just do your thing, don't you? That's what you do.
But I did. I'll send you a video. I did see. Was actually one of my friends from school, Carl Richards. Hello, Carl, if you're listening or watching. He did send me some cool videos that are just on YouTube. I can't remember the guy's name, but really simple warm-up videos where you're just playing singles, and then you go like single, double, 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 and then but you do it for like 8 minutes, and it really warms up like your forearm muscles, and it's quite easy to remember.
Sure.
Then you don't really need to be playing along to it. So I'll send you that because it's quite useful.
Oh, cool, man. Yeah.
And I had a few goes on my electric kit the other day, and it did feel really nice. So that might be a start anyway.
Absolutely.
And but yeah, stretching I think is really important. Yeah, like you're a lot younger than me, right? You're in your 20s still.
Yeah, so I think I can just about get away with it, but not much longer, I don't think.
But, yeah, exactly. And a bit of advice.
I do get the eggs in the morning for sure now,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, like some of the advice we had off Mark Richardson from Skunk Anansie, who's like now 50. He says, look after your body when you're younger, because when you get older, things start hurting and breaking, and so you should really look after yourself.
Mark Richardson as well. What? he's an absolute animal of a drummer.
Exactly. Well,
He's fantastic,
I asked
isn't he?
I asked him if you had any advice
Yeah.
for hard hitting drummers like yourself, and his advice was don't do it because he's paying the
Don't do
price.
it.
He's paying the price now. He
Yeah.
said so. So yeah, if anyone is listening to this, go back and listen to the Mark Richardson episode because he was really cool and he had some really good advice actually, some stories. But yeah, you've kind of mentioned a few, but who are your favorite drummers of all time and why?
Of course, like the one who got the ball rolling for me was kind of in the early days was Steven Adler,
Yeah,
and then ever since, because my first ever gig I went to, I was about like 9 or 10, was Motorhead show actually.
nice.
My mum, I got home from school. My mum said, "Oh, we're going out in a second." I was like, "Oh, what for?" She showed me a Motorhead ticket. Said, "I'm going to take you to see Motorhead." She knew how much I loved them because going a bit off topic. You get those really shit, like unofficial best of CDs.
I know, yeah.
My second ever one was like a really dodgy Motorhead best of.
There's
So
loads of those, aren't there? There's loads of unofficial bootleg ones. Yeah.
Yeah, so many. So another influence, because like what really got it going for me was when I first heard Overkill, of course, where you just hear just constant double kick.
Yeah.
Grinding. I was like, fuck that. Guns N' Roses was cool, but this is next level for me. So Filthy Animal Taylor, of course, back in the day. Of course, Mickey D. I mean, that guy's just fucking, I don't know, he's mega, isn't he? Just power and precision is his thing, isn't it? I don't know how he does a whole show without like dying afterwards. He's just a ball of energy.
I know. I've always wondered that. Obviously, I've been watching him since I was a kid as well, and how he keeps it going. Does that solo in the middle, and then keeps going.
It's amazing. He doesn't have a break all night, does he?
No.
So he's just constantly got his head banging. He blows my mind to this day. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah,
it's great. Another good one is a drummer called Russell Gilbrick. He plays in Uriah Heep now.
Right. Yeah. So I've heard about him recently.
Yeah, he's like an absolute animal. He's like one of the hardest hitters I've ever seen. But he's like quite a big clinician and stuff. So he's very he knows what he's talking about, or technical terms or that, which I don't understand. But
okay.
I don't know, just the power in his playing and just the way he plays. Like he's always been a big influence for me. He's always had a really cool style I liked. But yeah, that's a kind of a few.
Did you I noticed you shared something yesterday about Phil Rudd.
Are
you a Phil Rudd fan as well?
I'm absolutely a massive Phil Rudd fan. For me, he's the epitome of rock drumming.
Yeah.
Because it's just like he's got the strongest backbeat in the game. He never drops tempo, which I think is like, although AC/DC, you know what Phil was going to be playing. It's just the fall to the floor rock beat throughout the whole thing. But he does what every good drummer does. He keeps the time solid as a rock, and every hit is consistent. It's what was a big learning curve for me when I first went into the studio. I could play drums like pretty good to a level. I could play some technical things, but when I went back into the control room, John Cornfield, he said, "Your dynamics are a bit off. Like you're not really like nailing it in a way. Like saying like your kick drums are a bit inconsistent. Where it's all in time, but kick drums are not all at the same level. Snares are not all at the same level. So that was a big lesson for me and a bit of a tip for anyone going into the studio. It's almost better to strip it back and simplify it and nail it rather than try and be all flashy and just not have it sit properly, because I think that's the most important thing about rock and metal drumming is just consistency and the power of your kicks and your snares, keeping that rolling. Because when you're not aware of it when you're a younger drummer, you just think, I can play this, because you technically are playing it. You're playing all the notes, everything's in the right place, but you're lacking like the power and the placement of the beat. So, and I think that's what Phil Rudd just does so perfectly. He's just an absolute fucking machine. Yeah, love that guy. Great drummer.
He's definitely one of my inspirations, especially kind of the name of this podcast, obviously Drum for the Song.
Yeah.
It's like I don't think he's, I haven't even heard every AC/DC album that he's ever done. This is quite a lot to go back and listen to. But
Sure.
AC/DC was like the first CD I ever bought, Back in Black, and another CD which was irrelevant. But yeah, I've never heard him try and show off his own skills.
No.
It's just I'm putting the beat down. I'll put the pushes where the pushes need to be. I might do
Yeah.
a little fill. I don't do many fills,
Yeah.
but he's just playing for that band, and they're the biggest band in the world.
He does what he does, and he absolutely nails it every time.
Yeah.
So it's like it's absolutely perfect in my eyes. Yeah.
So yeah,
quality.
Look forward to, well, hopefully if they tour again. It sounds like they're doing another album or something. Be great to see him live again.
Sure thing.
I saw him once at that Download when they brought their own stage, and
yeah.
Let's say I'd had a few drinks, and I was with my friends, and the crowd was so mental I lost my friends. So I watched the whole set kind of on my own because I couldn't see what anyone was, and I was just in amongst all these random people, and it was a great experience. But I would also like to see him in a different, in a different way where I could concentrate more on the band and appreciate the band a little bit more.
Sure.
I think I would love that if they did something again.
Sure.
It'd be great. So fingers crossed. Many AC/DC fans out there. Apart from drumming, do you have many other hobbies, especially now when we're not gigging so much? Is there anything else you like doing? Apart from drinking beer and cider? What do you drink?
Just a lot of beer drinking. And to be honest, like music is my kind of life. It's what I do. I'm not into like games or anything like that. Or I watch a bit of TV now and again, but there's nothing else I've got big passion for.
Fair enough.
So it's kind of it is my thing. So it's a really important thing to me.
Well, good. Well,
it was frustrating during lockdown. Of course, I don't have a drum kit at home anymore because we've got our own practice space. So I had like fucking months of just not doing anything. I was just like, it was quite. That was probably the most frustrating thing. It wasn't the not gigging. It was like just the not playing.
Not playing. Yeah, that's a shame. Yeah, like I'm lucky. I've at least got an electric kit at home.
Yeah,
which isn't as satisfying to play as a real kit, but it's an option.
It's something. It's something, isn't it?
And when I talk to people who don't have that option, I feel really grateful to actually have that. So I need to be grateful that I can have that option and utilize it more.
Because I'm lucky, like even when we're not gigging now, like we do practice every week, so we've got an opportunity. So I don't know how often you guys practice or not. If you just practice before tours, or I don't know, or never.
I think our last practice was probably in February.
Yeah.
Obviously, when we were writing for the album, and that wasn't even the full band because Neil wasn't there. So yeah, we haven't done anything probably since before the tour with you, like rehearsal-wise.
Yeah.
Because then we did a German tour, I think, didn't we? After, which we probably didn't rehearse for because it was not long after the British tour. Yeah. So we need to do
weird, isn't it? Like, it's
just
been. Although it's weird that we're so far into the year now and just kind of done nothing.
The only single gig I've done this year was I was depping from my friend. He's in a band called Sweet Ignitions. And
right.
He does a lot of like kind of wedding gigs and function gigs as well. And he double booked himself. And it was January, and he put a thing out on his Facebook saying, "Oh, I need a drum dep for a 30-minute set in Cardiff." And I was like, I'm going to put myself out there to do stuff like this because I'm like, when I'm not busy with a band, like at the time I wasn't working, I had time to do stuff like that. So I thought I'll do it. I spent hours learning the songs. It was all the songs I'd never really heard before. Only 6 or 7 tracks.
Sure.
But I spent hours and hours learning the songs, practicing them on my electric kit, which was nice to have that option. And then we did one rehearsal on the day of the gig, and then I played the show, and that was it. But I didn't know at the time that would be my only show all year.
Sure. Yeah, I think the dep gigs are a really exciting thing to do. I did one probably about a year or two now ago, and I did it. Like I had a friend's band asked me, like, because my mate, one of the best mates, Tyler, who he ended up going on a holiday and he forgot he had a gig.
All right.
during the middle of the holidays. Like, oh shit! It's like, what do I do? He said, "Would you do the gig?" I'm like, "Sure, man. Like, absolutely, yeah." Just thinking in the back of my head, don't know the songs too well, but yeah, I'll give it a go. But I think it's a really good challenge to set yourself. As
Yeah, that's how I felt.
yeah,
It was a big
yeah,
challenge, um, uh, and yeah, I was out of my comfort zone, which is always a good thing to try and do. Um, and yeah, just playing with different musicians, it was a nice feeling.
yeah. I'd actually like to do more of it, to be honest. You know,
Yeah,
like every time an opportunity like that comes up, I'll normally grab it. You know, because yeah, it's really cool.
yeah,
And as much as I love like jamming with the boys and being in King Creatures, sometimes it's just nice to see the different side of a different band because every band works completely differently. And as much as I love it and I want to continue doing it, sometimes it is just nice just to give something else a go, isn't it? You know?
yeah. Like just playing
Yeah.
with someone else, or playing with a different bass player, and just realizing how
Mm.
you can play off each other. It's completely different when we're
Yes.
playing with the same dudes every gig. So I think you can
Yeah.
become a better player that way. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's cool, man. So this is my last little question for you, if that's cool.
Sure.
Um, so with yourself on drums, if you could make your own dream band with members of, you know, any band ever, dead or alive, who would be in the band with you?
Ooh. I don't know if I'd even want to be the drummer.
Yeah, you have to.
I
I know you have to
have
be in
to.
this case. I know it's awkward, isn't it?
Yeah.
But what musicians would you love to play with, or would you think would work together well or uniquely?
Oh, trying to think. Start with a bass player. Trying to think of. Well, it's so obvious, but I'd have Lemmy as my front man because yeah,
Yeah,
because you would, wouldn't you? It's like,
yeah.
yeah. Trying of a cool rock band. Guitar player. I mean, fuck, so hard,
You can have
difficult,
two.
isn't
You
it?
can have two guitar players, can't you?
Yeah.
Or three if
I
you're.
was always feeling that cool rock guitar players like that was almost a cool story. Dan Hawkins from The Darkness, but I actually ended up doing some playing with him out in America actually. So
What?
I'd have him. Yeah,
Oh, you
that was
kept that
cool.
quiet. You kept that quiet. Yeah.
Yeah, there's still more. I can go into it if you want.
Yeah. Go on in.
Quickly, go
Yeah.
on a tangent. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, because when we ended up playing the NAMM show a couple of years ago, Marshall flew us out to America to play the NAMM show in 2018, I think it was.
Nice.
So yeah, we were basically doing like 2 sets a day out in the Marshall booth because they got their own area out there. It's not on the main hall. So yeah, we were doing a couple of shows, and Dan Hawkins also flew out to do some guitar demos, and he said, "Fuck," he's like, "Yeah, this is all right. I really wish I had a drummer." And then he asked me, he said, "Would you mind demoing with me on the Marshall booth?" I'm like, so I played it, of course. Like, oh yeah, man, of course I wouldn't mind doing that. Inside, I'm thinking, fuck, man. Like, of course, when I was younger, I remember when Permission to Land came out in like 2004. I was really young. It's like one of the first rock albums I ever heard. You know,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
were on the TV all the time. Of course, at that point they were huge, weren't they? They were massive,
Absolutely huge.
absolute. So, so I thought, fuck, man, yeah. And I just knew so many Darkness songs in my head. So yeah, I ended up yeah, down the room with Dan out. There's a few videos on YouTube on the Marshall page of me playing with Dan. So that was a really cool experience to play with
Yeah.
someone like that. That was really
Definitely.
cool. Yeah, we did similar things out in Marshall flew us out to do another show in China as well. We ended up doing a week week or two in Shanghai
That's the dream,
for a
man.
similar.
That's
Yeah,
amazing. I'd love
yeah,
to
it
go
was
to
like
China.
yeah. Oh, it was amazing. Yeah, we just did a week in Shanghai, which was great. Met loads of really cool people. Like on because there was like no noise police like that really, so there was a lot of full bands playing. So we were playing in one hall, and then it wasn't the full band mind, but in the next hall you had like Lamb of God playing, and of
Whoa.
course, but in you know how China are, they don't have the social media platforms we have, so they don't really know who anyone was.
Right.
So
Okay.
we were pulling bigger crowds than big bands were because just because they didn't know who anyone was. So we had just masses of crowds afterwards signing everything for everyone. It's like little do they know I'm jumping on the plane to go home, and then I'm back down the pub pulling pints for work. You know, it's a real culture shock, you know, like from getting like a queue of 200 people getting your picture taken. It's like, yeah, real down to earth, which keeps you grounded, man. I liked it. It was cool, but super weird, you know.
That's amazing.
So that's a really cool part of what we did. Yeah, we done quite a bit of the circuit for Marshall as well. Yeah, I've met a lot of cool people out in America and China, and yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm sure you appreciate those those opportunities, because
Yeah,
I'd love to have done
yeah,
something like that.
yeah. It's just to see more parts of the world that I never thought I'd see. Because
And they're paying for it.
yeah, and of course, especially now, I think I don't know. America was always hard, but it looks like it's about to get harder, isn't it? To go because visas to play there is.
Yeah, they've just announced that like the price of US visas are going up by like 50% or something like that.
50% there, and they're already super expensive.
Yeah, so
I can't remember how much, but I knew it was like
it's
thousands
it's thousands of pounds per member at least.
It's going to be 5 figures to get your band over.
Yeah,
easy, isn't it?
And that's not even, you're not even guaranteed to be granted permission. Obviously,
Yeah.
remember,
unless if they approve it.
Orange Goblin's drummer got denied, didn't he? The rest of the band went, and he couldn't go. And that kind of put me off a little bit.
I was speaking to Ben about that the other day.
Yeah.
I was speaking to Ben about that the other day. He said, yeah, he said there's such a weird like place for him, because he gave them all the information they needed in the end, like extra information, and never approved it. But luckily they managed to get a depth drummer, because they said if they weren't to do the tour and had to cancel it, it would have financially bankrupted the band. It said it would have destroyed the band. So they had no option but to go, and luckily they had a friend out there who kind of filled the seat and did the shows. But I mean, that's scary, isn't it? You know, because it's a reputable band, and if one little thing goes wrong, it can literally destroy it.
It's just, it's crazy,
a risk,
really.
isn't it? You know,
it's massive risk, huge risk.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I say you've played America with the loophole of the cruise ship thing, haven't you?
Yeah, it's not.
It's a loophole.
Technically, isn't in America though, because you're just playing on.
Yeah, because on water.
On international waters. We were told in advance that we just needed tourist visas. Because we've done a few of those kind of cruise ships, and that's all we've ever done. But I think it was on the way out or the way back, one of the boys got questioned, and they were like taken into this room saying, "Oh, you need a working visa," and we were like, well, we were all separated at that time. He was on his own. I can't remember if he was Todd or Tyler, but there was a bit of an hour, and we were a bit scared because they were like, "You need a working visa to do this," and we were like, "Well, we were told we didn't. We've got this paperwork, blah, 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 blah." He got away with it in the end, but they kind of said, next time you'll definitely need a working visa. So I don't know how that's going to work.
Grey areas, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe they were misinformed and they didn't understand, but it's not the first time we've done it. Because technically you're not working in America. You're traveling through America to work on international waters. So I don't know, but it is, it's a bit of a minefield, really, and it's so expensive. You know, just flights to get out there for a band and crew is crazy. So
yeah, it's unreal, isn't it? You know, it's just I don't know how bands manage it unless you're a massive international.
When you've got
you're selling out thousands a night, you know, it's not really viable for younger bands, is it?
It's tricky. Yeah, but let's get back to your dream band then.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go on. I'll have Dan Hawkins in the band because he's a solid rhythm player. He's great, you know.
Yeah.
So got Lemmy, Dan, kind of hit the rock line up. Let's get another guitar player. I don't know. So tricky. Don't know if it's my dream band, but I'll just have Slash on because it's Slash, isn't it? You know, you're never going to go wrong.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, you can't go wrong with Slash.
You can't go wrong there, can you? He's quality. So I'd probably have Slash and don't know, whatever. And stick John Lord on the keys. Why not?
That would be that would be cool. I think he's a pretty popular keyboardist. When I asked this question,
I think he's pretty much everyone's go-to, probably, isn't he?
Yeah, man. Oh, awesome. That sounds great. Well, look, I guess you've there is a track, or is it a track or two, a couple of tracks with Lemmy and Slash are playing together. So
Sure, yeah, there's a
that
few of
kind of,
those.
there's a few of those, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, that'd be good, man. Well, is there anything else you'd like to plug or mention now before we finish? I think we've
No,
kind of
just
covered
yeah, just
everything.
mention that if everyone can check the new album "Set the World on Fire" that's
Yeah,
coming out on 6th of November, it'll be available to stream, or if you like it, you could buy it, which would be great.
yeah,
Just that really, and yeah, just thanks for having me, Dane. It's been great, man.
yeah, man. No, absolute pleasure, and thanks for taking the time. And I hope
Not a
things
problem.
work out well for you next year. I hope you
That's right, man.
sell lots of albums. I can't wait to listen to it myself because I
No, I can't
remember
wait to
some of
hear
the.
yours either.
Yeah, well, a few people have heard it, and they're all saying it's good. Some of the press people, so that's encouraging. So we'll
That's good,
see.
man.
Yeah, because you don't know when it's your own work. You're like, oh, it's all right. I think
And
it's decent enough.
you're always your own worst critic.
Yeah, but yeah, hopefully,
Yeah.
well, by the time this goes out, it won't be long until that's released because that's coming out on the 13th of November. So I think it's that'll
Cool.
be a week after yours. So that'd be cool, man.
Smashing.
Thanks again. So check out King Creature, and or if anyone wants to follow you on social media, do you know your tags?
Yeah, if you want to follow my personal Instagram, I think it's King Creature Bassett. I think you can find me at there. Of course, just King Creature across Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and all that. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
awesome,
easy to find. But yeah, come along, have a chat, this and that.
awesome.
So welcome.
Check it out, guys. Again, well, thanks, Jack. We'll speak to you soon, okay, mate?
Smashing. Cheers, Dane. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Ta-ra, man. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Drum for the Song podcast.
Hope you enjoyed that, guys. What a lovely fella Jack is. Hope you all agree. I'm sure you do. So make sure you check out their new album, Set the World on Fire. It's going to be released on November the 6th, 2020, just in case you're listening to this in the future. If you're listening to this now, what I will also mention that I mentioned in the interview is that my band, Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons, we have our new album that's going to be released on November the 13th, and it's called We're the Bastards. That's out via Nuclear Blast, so check that one out as well. Lots of great music coming this November, which is nice, I'm sure. But go check out King Creature. Make sure you're following them on social media. Keep up to date with their future touring plans, and make sure you go see them live at some point. They were amazing when they supported us last year. Just such a spot-on band. And they fuse a few genres together really nicely. But yeah, check them out. As I said at the start, please make sure you're following me on social media. I always love seeing when people are listening to the episodes in Instagram stories and Facebook stories or whatever, or just tagging me on things on Twitter. I'm pretty interactive on there, so if anyone wants to comment or send me a message on Twitter or anything like that, give me some feedback, would be amazing. If you want to leave me a review, that would be super, super kind, especially on Apple, because that really helps with search listings, apparently. And I could do with some help in that department. But yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment, leave a like, make sure you're subscribed as well. Tell a friend about it. The organic growth from you telling your friends is really helpful. You might not realize that it is, but that's kind of how people find out about the podcast. Also, please let me know who you'd like to see or hear on the podcast in the future. I've got my own wish list that I'm trying to get through gradually, but there are probably loads of people I don't know about or haven't thought about yet. I'm pretty sure some of the guys on my wish list might not be accessible anyway, but I can try my best. I'm trying to release 2 episodes per month or one every 2 weeks, depending. So I'm trying my best to keep up with that, with all the other stuff that's going on. But I think I'm getting on top of it now. I'm finding the technical aspects of the recording and the editing. I'm finding that a lot easier now, which is speeding up the process a little bit, which is cool. As I mentioned at the start, if you really want to help me out, you can support me on patreon.com/drum for the song. There are a few different tiers on there. There's one that's £1 a month, which is a general support. There's £3 a month that gets you early access to the episodes, and it also gives you access to the exclusive bonus episode that I do every month. There's one tier for £5 a month that gives you all that I just mentioned, but it also gets you included on the monthly Q&A that I do, and I find that really fun. Once a month I get to meet a load of you guys, and we talk about drums and loads of other things, and it's really cool. And there's also another tier for £10 a month. That's the Groove Masters. One of the bonuses of that is that I thank you on the podcast. So I'm going to take that moment now to thank Rudy Pauly, Dean S. Monaghan, Dan Hurst, Gareth Richards, and Steve Hancock. Thanks, guys. I really, really appreciate your continued support. Some of the other benefits of that Groove Master tier is that, well, when shows actually start back again, I'll get you free entry to one of my Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons headline shows. I also give you an opportunity to ask one of my future guests a question. I sometimes stick one of those questions in if I've got enough time. I give you the shout out that I've just done, and I include your name on the description of the podcast. If you really like the podcast but are not too keen on paying monthly, that's cool as well. But if you want to support me and say a little thank you, there is another option. It's the Acast supporter feature. There should be a link for that in the description of this episode of the podcast. If this is your first episode, I've got 9 more preceding this, so go and check them out. I've got some great drummers. Most of them you will have heard of. There might be a few you haven't, but if you haven't heard of them, go check them out because they're all awesome. And make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss an episode. But I think I've covered everything there. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for listening, especially thanks for listening towards the end as well. Give me a share, give me a like, give me a comment. Make sure you're subscribed. And I look forward to speaking at you in the next episode. So until next time, and don't forget, if you're a drummer, don't forget to drum for the song.